Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to Julian Speaks. I'm your host, Julian Lee, and if this is your first time here, thank you for choosing to spend your time with me today. So this podcast is a space for healing, honesty, reflection, growth, and conversations that many people are too afraid to have out loud. Today's episode is called The Versions of You That Survived. Because sometimes we become so focused on what we still need to become that we forget to acknowledge the version of ourselves that already survived the things we once thought that would completely destroy us. And honestly, some of you listening right now are stronger than you even realize. You survived heartbreak, abandonment, betrayal, loneliness. You survived seasons where nobody checked on you. You survived moments where you smiled publicly while quietly falling apart privately. And yet you were still here. So today I want this episode to feel like a conversation between two people sitting in the same room. So no pressure, no judgment, no pretending. It's all just honesty. Segment 1. We don't celebrate survival enough. I think one of the saddest things about adulthood is how quickly we move past on our own pain. We go through something traumatic, we cry about it for a while, then life tells us to continue. Go to work, pay bills, answer messages, keep functioning. And eventually people stop asking if we're okay. But the truth is, some experiences permanently changed us. There are moments in life that split us into two versions. Like the person we were before it happened and the person we became after. Sometimes survival doesn't look inspiring. Sometimes survival looks messy. It looks like crying in the bathroom, staying in bed too long, pretending to be okay, replaying conversations over and over, questioning your worth, isolating yourself, struggling silently. And yet people they only celebrate survival when it looks beautiful. But survival is not always beautiful. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes it leaves scars. And I want you to know something. Your scars are not proof that you failed. They're proof that you survived. And I think many of us are carrying invisible battles we never fully talk about because we don't want to burden other people. But hiding pain does not make the pain disappear. And one thing I've learned in this is just healing begins the moment we stop pretending we were never hurt, because denial delays healing. The strongest people are not the people who never break. The strongest people are the ones who admit, yes, that hurt me deeply, and still choose to continue to live. Segment 2. The pressure to move on. I want to talk about something that frustrates me sometimes. It's just the pressure society puts on people to move on quickly. Like, especially after heartbreak, people say things like, you'll find someone else. Yeah, just move on. Stop thinking about it. Everything happens for a reason and stuff like that. So, and while sometimes people mean well, those words can feel so dismissive as well. Because healing is not just like a switch. It's not a switch. You cannot force your heart to stop grieving just because time passed. Some people need weeks, years. And some people look healed publicly while privately still trying to understand what happened. And I think we need to normalize emotional recovery. When someone breaks a leg, nobody expects them to run the next day, right? But when someone's heartbreak, people expect them to function normally, immediately. And that's unfair. Emotional pain affects the body too. It affects sleep, energy, confidence, self-worth. It affects your appetite and motivations. Sometimes heartbreak changes your entire identity. Especially when you gave too much of yourself to someone, I think many people lose themselves trying to be loved. More likely they become understanding, patient, forgiving, available, more accommodating. Until one day they wake up and realize, I abandoned myself while trying not to lose someone else. And that realization hurts. But it's also the beginning of self-awareness. Because healing is not just about getting over someone. It's healing about returning to yourself and learning who you are outside of that pain, outside of that rejection, outside of that validation. And that takes time. Segment 3. Becoming someone new after pain. One thing that nobody talks about enough is how pain changes people. Sometimes after betrayal, people become quieter. Sometimes after abandonment, people become emotionally guarded. After repeated disappointment, people stop expecting too much from others. And honestly, sometimes some people judge these changes without understanding where they came from. Not every cold person was born cold. Some people became distant because they were hurt too many times. And some people became independent because nobody showed up for them consistently. There were some people that stopped opening up because vulnerabilities was once used against them. And while healing is important, I think its compassion is equally important too, because nobody's carrying a story without we cannot fully see. And maybe this episode is a reminder to stop being so hard on yourself. You are not weak for changing. You adopted, you survived, you protected yourself the way you knew how. But I also want to gently say this, do not let pain become your permanent identity. Yes, protect your peace, but do not completely close your heart forever, because not everyone will hurt you. There are still good people, still honest people, still genuine connections. And most importantly, you deserve to experience the love that does not constantly make you anxious. Love do not feel like begging. Love should not feel confusing. Love should not constantly make you question your worth. The right people bring peace, not constant emotional chaos. Segment 4. Speaking to the person who feels tired. I want to speak directly to the person listening right now who feels emotionally exhausted. So the person who keeps showing up for everybody else while silently feeling empty. Or the person who feels tired of always being strong. I see you. And I know sometimes people praise you for being resilient, while never realizing how badly you need support too, right? Like strong people need softness too. And I think many people Or many strong people secretly wish somebody would ask, "Are you really okay?" Like without judgment, without expecting a perfect answer. Sometimes survival mode becomes so normal that people forget how to relax emotionally. They stay alert, guarded, emotionally prepared for disappointment. And healing from survival mode is difficult because your nervous system becomes used to stress. So if you are in this season where you feel tired, please do not shame yourself for slowing down. Rest is necessary. Healing is necessary. And you do not need to earn rest by completely burning yourself out first. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to choose yourself. That's not selfish. That's survival. Segment 5. Final reaction and advice. So, before we end the episode today, I want to leave you with this thought. Maybe the goal is not to become the person you were before the pain. Maybe the goal is to become someone softer with yourself, more wiser, more aware, to become more emotionally honest, because pain changes people, but the pain can also teach people. Sometimes our hardest seasons reveal who truly cares, what we tolerate, what we deserve, and what needs healing inside us. And although painful experiences can break us apart, they can also rebuild us differently. Not everybody who survives suffering becomes bitter. Some people become more compassionate, more self-aware, more intentional. And maybe that is your journey right now. So if nobody told you recently, I am very proud of you for surviving things that you never thought you would survive. I'm proud of you for continuing. And even on these days you felt emotionally exhausted, even on these days you doubted yourself, even on these days that you wanted to give up, you're still here. And that matters. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for spending this time with me on Jillian Speaks. If today's episode resonated you with our topic, so please share this podcast with someone who may need to hear these words too. If you ever felt lost, emotionally overwhelmed, or stuck in situations that challenge your sense of self, I also invite you to grab the copy of my book. So the book is called The Space I Never Gave Myself. And this book was written from real emotions, real reflections, and my real experiences. It's for the people who spent too much time pouring into others while forgetting themselves. My hope is that it helps you feel seen, understood, and less alone in your healing journey. You can follow us also on our social media pages to stay connected for more conversations, podcast episodes, healing discussions, and future content. And remember this, you do not have to become perfect to deserve peace. Take care of yourself, protect your heart, and I will talk to you again on the next episode. Have a good day. Bye.